Now, understanding Italian sentence structure and word order is crucial if you want to improve your Italian. Now, the basic word order in Italian and Italian sentence structure follows a pattern like this. Subject, who or what is doing the action. Verb, the action done by the subject. Complement, elements that complete and enrich the sentence. In this lesson, you'll learn how to form negative sentences in Italian, how to structure questions, where to place pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, and conjunctions in a sentence, plus how to transform direct speech into indirect speech. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. To help you practice what you're about to learn here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson. It includes all the vocabulary and examples you're about to see here today. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. Pronti? Ready? Iniziamo! Let's begin! Now earlier we saw this basic word order in Italian. Subject, verb, complement. First, it's important to know that complements can be classified into two types. Direct complements express the person or thing that directly receives the action of the verb. For example,
Maria legge un libro.
Maria reads a book. Maria is the subject, legge is the verb, and un libro is the direct complement.
Giuseppe guarda un film.
Giuseppe is watching a movie. Giuseppe is the subject, guarda is the verb, and un film is the direct complement. Then we have direct complements. Now these are introduced by a preposition and answer questions such as with whom, how, or to whom. For example,
Alessandro esce con Elena.
Alessandro goes out with Elena. Here, con Elena, with Elena, is an indirect complement that answers the question with whom.
Greta ha prestato I suoi appunti a Chiara.
Greta lent her notes to Chiara. Here,
I suoi appunti.
her notes is a direct complement, while
A Chiara.
to Chiara is an indirect complement that answers the question to whom. Attenzione! In Italian, the subject is not always necessary, especially when it's a pronoun like io or tu. The verb ending usually indicates who is doing the action. However, sometimes the subject may be used for clarity or to emphasize who is performing the action. For example,
Mangio una pizza.
I eat pizza. Here, io, I, is omitted because mangio, eat, tells us who the subject is. Io, I.
Io mangio la pizza. Tu cosa prendi?
I'll eat pizza. What are you getting? Here, io is used to emphasize the subject performing the action. Now let's take a look at how to form negative sentences in Italian. Now turning a positive sentence into a negative one in Italian is rather easy. Simply place the word non, meaning not, right before the verb. Here's the basic sentence structure. Subject plus non plus the verb plus the complement. For example,
I bambini hanno molta fame.
the kids are very hungry becomes
I bambini non hanno molta fame.
the kids aren't very hungry.
Marco ha risposto alle domande.
Marco answered the questions becomes
Marco non ha risposto alle domande.
Marco didn't answer the questions. Attenzione! When the subject pronoun like I or you is omitted, non, meaning not or don't, becomes the first element in the sentence. For example,
Guardo la televisione.
I watch TV becomes
Non guardo la televisione.
I don't watch TV.
Ama viaggiare da sola.
She likes traveling alone becomes
Non ama viaggiare da sola.
she doesn't like traveling alone. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. Now let's take a look at how to ask questions in Italian. In English, asking a question often involves changing the word order or adding words like do, did, or does at the beginning. In Italian, however, this process is more simple. You can transform a regular statement into a question simply by using a questioning tone and adding a question mark at the end. Take a look at this structure. Subject plus verb plus the complement plus a question mark or a questioning tone. For example,
Mangiano carne.
they eat meat becomes,
Mangiano carne?
do they eat meat?
Guardiamo il film.
We watch a movie becomes,
Guardiamo un film.
how about we watch a movie? Now sometimes you'll need to use question words like chi, who, cosa, what, dove, where, and so on to ask more specific questions that require more than a yes or no answer. When using these words, the subject typically comes after the verb. Take a look. Question word plus the verb plus the subject plus the questioning tone or the question mark. For example,
Il treno parte.
the train leaves becomes,
Quando parte il treno?
when does the train leave?
Il percorso inizia qui.
The path starts here becomes,
Dove inizia il percorso?
where does the path start? Attenzione! When starting a question with chi, meaning who, the subject often appears at the end of the sentence in the answer to stress who will perform the action. For example,
Chi va a fare la spesa? Vado io.
who's going to the grocery shopping? I'll go.
Chi viene con me? Veniamo noi.
Who's coming with me? We are. Now to learn more about how to ask questions in Italian, watch this in-depth video lesson right here. Now let's take a look at using pronouns in Italian sentences. Now pronouns play a crucial role in Italian as they prevent repetitive use of words, making sentences smoother and conversations easier to follow. There are different types of pronouns, each serving specific functions within sentences. Direct object pronouns, for instance, replace nouns that directly receive the action, while indirect object pronouns replace nouns that indirectly receive the action. Now let's take a look at some examples.
Carla è sconvolta.
Carla is upset.
Cosa hai detto a Carla?
What did you say to Carla? If you combine these two sentences, you will get
Carla è sconvolta. Cosa le hai detto?
Carla is upset. What did you say to her? Here, le, meaning her, is the indirect object pronoun, replacing Carla. Here's another example.
Ho visto Claudio e Angelo.
I saw Claudio and Angelo.
Hai invitato Claudio e Angelo alla festa?
Did you invite Claudio and Angelo to the party? If you combine these two sentences, you will get
Ho visto Claudio e Angelo. Li hai invitati alla festa?
I saw Claudio and Angelo. Did you invite them to the party? Here, li, meaning them, is the direct object pronoun, replacing Claudio e Angelo. Now, if you want to learn exactly how to use all Italian pronouns, make sure you watch this video lesson here. Now let's take a look at the modifiers in Italian. Now, as you become accustomed to using simple sentences, you may want to expand your vocabulary and be more expressive. This is where modifiers come into play. Now, these are elements that add extra meaning, thus modify it, to words and verbs in a sentence. Let's start with adjectives. Now, adjectives provide additional information about nouns. In Italian, they must agree with the gender, masculine or feminine, and number, singular or plural, of the nouns that they describe. They typically follow the noun they modify. For example,
Una signora anziana ospita alcuni studenti universitari.
an elderly lady hosts some university students.
Un ragazzo spagnolo ha perso il passaporto nuovo.
A Spanish tourist lost his new passport. However, there are some exceptions. Some adjectives change meaning depending on their position in a sentence. When placed before the noun, they convey a figurative meaning, whereas when they are placed after the noun, they tend to be more literal. Take a look at these examples.
Un vecchio amico.
An old friend, referring to a long-term friendship, or
un amico vecchio,
an old friend, referring to their age.
un grande appartamento,
An impressive apartment, referring to status.
un appartamento grande,
A big apartment, this refers to its size. Now certain adjectives like
nuovo,
new or
bello,
nice or beautiful can change function based on their position.
un libro nuovo,
A new book, generically describing the book.
il nuovo libro di Baricco,
Baricco's new book, meaning a specific new book by the author.
un attore bello,
A good-looking actor, describing the actor's appearance.
un bell'attore,
A talented actor, meaning he's very capable. Also notice that before a word beginning with a vowel, bello loses the O in the masculine form and takes an apostrophe. Finally, adjectives with prefixes or suffixes, those linked to complements, used as participles, or derived from nouns, always come after the noun. For example,
una macchina piccolina,
a very small car. Ina is a suffix that means little.
una macchina piena di fango,
The car is full of mud. Piena, meaning full, is linked to the complement that specifies what the car is full of, di fango, of mud.
una canzone emozionante,
A moving song
emozionante,
is the present participle of
emozionare,
to move.
un pannello solare,
A solar panel. The adjective
solare,
solar comes from the word
sole,
meaning sun. Another modifier we have is adverbs. Now, adverbs are invariant words that provide additional information or specify the meaning of verbs, adjectives, or entire sentences. Generally, adverbs that modify verbs are placed after the verb. However, for emphasis, they can precede the verb. Take a look.
partiamo domani,
We leave tomorrow.
domani partiamo,
We leave tomorrow. Notice how the position changes the emphasis in this example. Now, adverbs that modify adjectives or other adverbs are placed before the adjective or adverb. For example,
Marco è veramente simpatico,
Marco is really nice.
Anna è palesemente arrabbiata,
Anna is clearly angry.
Andrea sta andando troppo velocemente, digli di rallentare.
Andrea is going too fast. Tell him to slow down. In sentences with compound tenses, adverbs can appear between the auxiliary verb and the past participle, before the auxiliary verb, or after the past participle. The meaning remains consistent, only the emphasis changes. Take a look.
Siamo finalmente arrivati. Finalmente siamo arrivati. Siamo arrivati, finalmente.
These all mean we have finally arrived.
Sono le 10. I tuoi sono sicuramente arrivati. Sono le 10. I tuoi sicuramente sono arrivati. Sono le 10. I tuoi sono arrivati sicuramente.
These all mean it's 10. Your parents have definitely arrived. Adverbs of manner, which describe how something is done, can be placed anywhere in the sentence. Take a look.
Solitamente non viaggio da sola. Non viaggio da sola, solitamente. Non viaggio solitamente da sola.
I don't usually travel alone. Now the meaning here remains unchanged, regardless of the position of the adverb of manner, solitamente, usually. Similarly, when an adverb modifies the entire sentence, it can be placed anywhere.
Onestamente non so che dire. Non so che dire, onestamente.
I honestly don't know what to say. The adverb non, meaning not or don't, usually precedes the verb it modifies. In cases of double negatives, the second adverb follows the verb. Take a look.
Non guardo la televisione.
I don't watch TV.
Non guardo mai la televisione.
I never watch TV.
Non mangiamo carne.
We don't eat meat.
Non mangiamo più carne.
We don't eat meat anymore. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, and you'll find a link to that in the description box below this video. Now let's take a look at how to connect sentences with conjunctions. Now conjunctions are essential words that help us connect words, phrases, and sentences in a meaningful way. In Italian, conjunctions fall into two main categories based on their function: coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions, like e meaning and, ma meaning but, link two words or sentences of equal importance. For example,
Mangio qualcosa e riprendo a studiare.
I'll eat something and get back to studying.
Io voglio andare al cinema, ma Marco preferisce restare a casa.
I want to go to the cinema, but Marco prefers to stay at home. Subordinating conjunctions, on the other hand, like
Come?
meaning how and
Perché?
meaning because, connect two sentences where one is dependent on the other. Take a look.
Devi raccontarmi come è andato il viaggio.
You must tell me how the trip went.
Mario è arrabbiatissimo perché ha perso le chiavi della macchina.
Mario is very angry because he lost his car keys. Now, within these groups, there are more specific types of conjunctions that establish various logical relationships between words and sentences. Now, if you want to learn more and go in more in detail about how to use Italian conjunctions, make sure you watch my video lesson here. Okay, let's step things up a bit. Let's take a look at advanced Italian sentence structures. Now that we have covered the basics, let's progress to more complex sentences, shall we? Now, mastering these is crucial because they enable you to express your thoughts clearly and discuss more sophisticated ideas. Let's start with relative clauses. Now, to make your sentences more interesting and informative, you'll need to use relative clauses. These clauses provide additional information about someone or something using relative pronouns such as che, who, which, that, or cui, whom. This not only improves sentence flow, but also helps avoid repetition. Take a look.
Mi hai prestato il libro.
You lent me the book.
Il libro è meraviglioso.
The book is amazing. If you combine these two sentences, you can say,
Il libro che mi hai prestato è meraviglioso.
the book that you lent me is amazing. Here, the relative pronoun che, that, replaces il libro, the book, so you don't have to repeat it.
Sta parlando con un ragazzo.
He's talking with a guy.
Il ragazzo è suo fratello.
The guy is his brother. Joining these two sentences, you can say,
Il ragazzo con cui sta parlando è suo fratello.
the guy with whom he's talking is his brother. Here, the relative pronoun cui, whom, stands for il ragazzo, the guy. Now let's take a look at infinitive clauses or phrases. Now, when discussing actions in a general sense rather than specific instances, you'll use infinitive clauses. These sentences feature verbs in their infinitive form and are typically introduced by modal verbs or prepositions such as di, a, and da. For example,
Luca e Paolo hanno deciso di andare in montagna quest'estate.
Luca and Paolo have decided to go to the mountains this summer.
Inizio solo ora a capire il senso delle sue parole.
Only now I'm starting to understand the meaning of his words.
Hai finito la bozza da mandare al cliente?
Have you finished the draft to send to the client? Now let's take a look at indirect speech. Now, indirect speech is used when you want to relay what someone else has said, whether it's for storytelling, gossiping, or passing on information. It involves constructing sentences around verbs like
Dire,
to say,
credere,
to think, or
chiedere.
to ask, often beginning the conjunction with che, meaning that. Using indirect speech can be tricky because there are a number of rules to keep in mind. Now, the first rule involves adjusting verb tenses. For instance, if the verb in the direct speech is in the future tense and the reporting verb is in the past tense, the reported verb shifts to the past conditional. Take a look. Direct speech.
Mauro, andrò a cercarla.
Mauro, I'll go look for her. Indirect speech.
Mauro ha detto che sarebbe andato a cercarla.
Mauro said he would go look for her. Another important rule is to change the first and second person pronouns, reflexive pronouns, and possessive adjectives to the third person when reporting speech. Take a look. Direct speech.
Stefania, non trovo le chiavi della mia macchina.
Stefania, I can't find my car keys. Indirect speech.
Stefania dice che non trova le chiavi della sua macchina.
Stefania says she can't find her car keys. Now, if you want to learn how to use all 15 Italian tenses properly, make sure you watch this video lesson here. Okay, let's take a look at changing word order in conversational Italian. Now that you've learned the rules of Italian sentence structure, get ready to break them. Now, Italians often alter the word order in their sentences, especially in casual, colloquial, everyday speech, mainly to emphasize specific parts of the sentence. This technique is known as dislocation, where the direct and indirect object is moved to highlight it. There are two types of dislocation: left dislocation and right dislocation. Let's start with left dislocation. In left dislocation, the object, usually placed after the verb, is shifted to the left of the verb to draw attention to it. A corresponding pronoun is then added before the verb to refer back to the subject. So the structure is as follows: object plus a pronoun plus the verb plus the subject. Let's clarify this with some examples. The standard structure is:
Laura conosce quei ragazzi.
Laura knows those guys. In the left dislocated order, you would say:
Quei ragazzi li conosce Laura.
Laura knows those guys. Quei ragazzi, those guys, is moved to the beginning for emphasis, and then the direct object pronoun li, them, refers back to them. Another example is: in the standard structure, you would say:
Carlo ha ordinato la carbonara.
Carlo ordered the carbonara. In the left dislocated order, you would say:
La carbonara l'ha ordinata Carlo.
Carlo ordered the carbonara. See how the emphasis shifts to la carbonara, the pasta, which is then recalled through the pronoun la, meaning it. Now let's take a look at right dislocation. Now, in right dislocation, this sentence starts with a pronoun that anticipates the direct or indirect object drawing attention to it. The structure is as follows: pronoun plus the verb plus the subject plus the direct or indirect object. For example, the standard structure might be:
Elena porta il dolce.
Elena brings the dessert. In the right dislocated structure, it would be:
Lo porta Elena il dolce.
Elena brings the dessert. The pronoun lo, meaning it, anticipates il dolce, the dessert. Here's another example. The standard structure would be:
Sai che Valeria si trasferisce a Londra?
Do you know that Valeria is moving to London? In the right dislocated structure, it would be:
Lo sai che Valeria si trasferisce a Londra?
Did you know that Valeria is moving to London? The emphasis lo, it, anticipates the entire phrase.
Valeria si trasferisce a Londra.
Valeria is moving to London. Now, to continue your learning and to help you practice, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. Now, if you enjoyed this lesson, don't miss my lesson on how to cheat your way to fluency with modal verbs. You can watch this video here. Plus, master Italian pronominal verbs watching this video lesson here. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more video lessons like this one. Until then, un abbraccio. Ciao!